There's no consequence relating to death that will limit me in what I do. That's an extraordinary freedom. How many people have now been intimidated into silence and acquiescence by the very people from their own community who are dictating what they should think and what they should not think in increasing extremes? How many people are not saying what they think because they fear the consequences of what others will say if they do? And what this can do is lead to a situation, it's like Orwell talked about, where 2 and 2 equals 4 becomes 2 and 2 equals 5. And you can accept that 2 and 2 equals 5 initially because you fear the consequences of saying it equals 4. And that's the situation we're in now, in the madness. 2 and 2 equals 4 has become 2 and 2 equals 5. And we're being pressured to parrot that 2 and 2 equals 5, and then to accept that 2 and 2 equals 5. So what happens in this psychological change, and this is all part of this psychological war I'm talking about, and you think, I know 2 and 2 equals 4, I'm gonna go along with it equals 5, and I'm gonna speak and act as if I believe it, but I don't really believe it. But eventually, the fusion takes place, and eventually you believe 2 and 2 equals 5. And one of the reasons you believe 2 and 2 equals 5 is self-respect. You don't want to face the fact that you've been intimidated into believing 2 and 2 equals 5, so you persuade yourself that it does. And that's the psychological shift that takes place, that transforms the human psyche and the human perception. It's going on all around us now. This is why this cult has worked, not least through mainstream science, to give us the impression that death is the end. It's lights out. There is no continuation. And the alternative we've been given to that is that at death we're going to be judged by some judgmental frickin' God. We're going to sit on his left hand or right hand or whatever bloody hand it is, or we're going to be stoking the fires of hell, right? So what death has become is a massive reason to fear. And fear of death is an expression of fear of the unknown. And fear of the unknown is massive fear that people have. People limit themselves because they fear the unknown. Letting go of the fear of death is all part of this reevaluation of self-identity. See, I don't fear any of these people. I don't fear them. I don't fear the consequences of challenging them. Why? Because I self-identify as being an expression of infinite awareness, an eternal, indestructible, unique expression of infinite awareness. There's no consequence relating to death that will limit me in what I do. And I can tell you from a personal point of view, that's an extraordinary freedom, because from that everything else comes. What you do is you do what you believe to be right. If you stop fearing the consequences and just do what you believe to be right, the consequences you feared don't happen. If we said we're not going to allow our kids to be put in chalk circles or locked off small areas alone, disconnected from all the other kids, we're not doing it. Our kids ain't going to school until that crap is finished. What would they have to do? They'd have to stop it. But people don't. Fortunately, a vast number of people have looked at the world in its extreme expression in the last few months. And they've actually seen, the world is not like I thought it was, and there has been an awakening. But that's only step one. You can stand on the other side of the street and you can start to understand the game, and you can start to see the game on the other side of the street, and you can start to work out what's happening and why they're doing this and why they're doing that. But that's step one. Step two is crossing the road and engaging with the system. But it's not even protest. What is protest? You know, so many protests, they protest and they protest and then they go home, and what changes? Nothing. And nothing will change until we stop acquiescing to the system and stop cooperating with our own enslavement. When that happens, it's game over. You've got to engage with it. But actually, it's not even engaging with it, it's disengaging with it. It's not cooperating with it when it's taking your freedom away, you know? And we've had so many in-your-face lessons in the last few weeks of what happens when you do that. We now have a choice to learn from it, surely. And if we don't, then this will go on and it will get more extreme. If we do, then the cult agenda will unravel, because we're holding it up. There's no reason to be scared. The perception of the consequences are what frees people into inaction. When you actually go for it, there's always a way. We are infinite awareness living within an infinite field of all possibility. There's always a way. And in every cloud, there's always a silver lining. And that's why this cult works so hard to keep this truth from us, to keep this dynamic from us, that the real power is us. And they are dependent on us giving them that power. Because when we suss it and say, cough, cough, I'm out of here, they are going to end up in the second row. We have the power. If we'd only realize it, and they spend 24/7 telling us we don't have it, because they're terrified of us realizing that we do. It's a diversion. What does a magician want you to do when he's doing a trick? He wants you to look at the hand that's not doing the trick, so you don't see the hand that's doing it. Speak your truth and stick with it. Amazing things happen, and your life can be transformed by that. One thing's for sure, if you don't speak your truth, nothing's going to change. There's some great things happening. Come on, people, we're bigger than this.